Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies podcast. It is the first podcast of 2024. Brandon, we've been just saying it's been a while since we've sat, just me and you in a studio, talking about Accies.
It's been a while. It's nice to see Wish I've still got a Christmas lights on. It's back in the Stone Age. But no, it has been a while that we've done something like this. Obviously, we've done a few things since the last one. We've obviously been doing the Spaces on a Sunday, which has had good attendance, and it's given us the ability to speak, have a good laugh. Some people fart in mics like yourself. But no, it's been a while, but I think it was about time, with it being a new year, that we get something sorted. I'm sure we'll speak about a potential other podcast, what we're going to do for the whole of last year as well, but I think it's good time to get another set up like this sorted and get something out for the fans.
And there's a lot to talk about, obviously, as well. You just picked on what we did there. We've been in the Twitter Spaces, but we also did our second ever live show at the Bay Horse, a Christmas special.
It's a bit different from the first one.
It's very different to the first one. Very, very different to the first one. Thank you to everybody who came along. Thank you to the Bay Horse, obviously, for having us. And of course, all the money was going towards Hamilton District Food Bank, which is massive at Christmas time. So thank you very much for everybody who attended and chucked some money in. Obviously, Gary Clark, John Brogan was there again with his family, so that was great to see. Thank you to those guys for giving up their time, for coming. It was a great night, and obviously raised a lot of money for charity, so it's a win-win.
No, it was good, and like I said, it was a bit different from the last one, with it being a Christmas period. I think the crowd were a bit different. I was a bit different. Obviously, the first one I was a bit nervous. I made sure I was sober, but had hospitality at the game, so I was never going to be sober, so I did feel myself slurring my words a few times, but thankfully you pulled me through for the most part. And no, like you said, it was all for a good cause. It was we've been crying out for sort of these type of events, been a fan for some years, and that's two we've given the fans, and we also managed to support a local charity in a very hard time for the people that it was providing for. So no, it was good all round. Thanks to Gary Clark, thanks to John Brogan and his family coming. I think obviously we've done the first one with John, and he enjoyed it that much. Yep. His grandson messaged me and just says, make sure to let me know the next time, and I really loved it. Great person to be around, and Gary Clark as well provided some really good stories.
Brilliant,
and it was
brilliant stories.
All round good night. Again, 2 wins out of 2 for myself in the quiz, so I look forward to seeing who's next up. In the next one.
I actually thought Niall was going to do not better, because it was only I think he got 2 wrong, but I thought Niall would have put up. I thought he would be the one that would give you a battle for it.
He got away with a prize, so
he did. Kindly donated by Mazzala Designs. Thank you to them.
Yes, I've got mine in my.
I saw that with photo.
Yes, set up.
Of you and your snuggie.
Yes,
Was it Snuddy?
Snuddy.
Snuddy.
Snuggie.
Snuggie.
Snuggle. I don't know. Snuggles. I don't know. Something like that. Something perverted. Anyway.
Some hungover photo of you and a snuggie, man.
Yeah.
But I listen again. Thank you to everybody who came along. It was a great night.
On this snuggie point, I just want to say congratulations to our friend Lewis, who completed his work experience in the call centre. Took his first call during the week there.
Listen, he's a brave guy, man. He's a brave man.
So thanks, Lewis, and also congratulations to Shane on passing his work experience in the care home as well.
Right, let's talk about the football, mate. Last game, Edinburgh City. Did you just fart? I thought you just farted in the pod.
I laughed. No, that's only for Spaces.
Edinburgh City away, mate. I'm really interested to talk to you about it, because me and you obviously spoke at the game about it. But it was a game that we went into. We were always going to win. I think we were all going to always going to get 3 points. No disrespect to Edinburgh City, but with all the problems they're having off the field, they're playing. I think that Fontaine came out of retirement to play for them recently and captain them. Obviously, it was a very, very young squad, bar a few. And it was kind of one that we always predicted to win. We went in at half-time 5-0, ended up coming out 5-2 winners. And it's a strange one, because I think, and I said this in the video, I think from the outside, you're probably looking at that going 5-2. It's a really comfortable win. Like, why are people unhappy? Why are people complaining about it? And that's why I'm interested to talk to you specifically about it, because you had some quite strong thoughts on it.
Well,
as did a lot of people, by the way. I'm not just trying to think of that as your opinion, but
conceded for someone that decided for Casa Amor. Do you know what I mean? No, listen. I think at half time I came up to yourself and I wasn't angry, I wasn't disappointed at that at all. I was just like, it's pish sort of thing. And you're like, how can you say it's pish? It's 5-0. I was like, just wait till the second half. I could just see how it was going to sort of progress. And I was right. It finished 5-2, I think. We obviously went into the game. They've had a lot of problems. Half their squad's left. Struggling big time. I've noticed they've picked up, they've made a few signings recently. So fingers crossed that's... because you don't want to see that happen.
No, fingers crossed it's a sign that they're no...
The sign that it's not actually going properly bad. But back to the game. 5-0 at half time, creating many chances we expected. Obviously scored the most part of the ones we did get. But I don't know. It's weird saying that you're 5-0 up at half time and you want more, but every team that's played them since that's happened is absolutely annihilated.
Cove week before was 7-2.
7-2, was it 7-2?
7-2.
And the other teams before then have conceded like 18 goals in like 3 games or something like that. So it was just one of these that performances before that hadn't been particularly great. If my mind serves me right, at 3 wins and 8, 1 win and 5 or something like that in the league. 1 win and 5, sorry. Can't remember the exact stats, but our form was pretty poor recently. This is like the past sort of month and a bit, we've had a bit of a blip. So we drew with Kelty and I thought, right, this is the sort of last game over the Christmas period. Let's go out with a bang and sort of go into the new year sort of.
It's the type of game you would have wanted at the end of that bad run.
Of course it is. It's the type of game you want off at the end of that bad run to come into it and just all guns blazing and go in and get double figures. No disrespect to Edinburgh. We probably should have got double figures. Second half, I didn't think we were at the races not at all. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what he said at half time, but I didn't like the second half performance at all. Yes, we did have a few chances. That was always going to happen, but to concede 2 goals and technically
quick succession,
and technically get beat 2-0 in a half of Edinburgh is just Edinburgh and Castlemore. It's just it's not acceptable, mate. The second half performance was carbon copy of what the rest of the performances as of recent have been, and it's just not good enough. Simple as that. It really isn't good enough.
The second half seemed to me is very complacent, and I'm going to compare it. This is a strange comparison, right? But because I'm playing a lot of Football Manager now, see when you're winning at half time and you say something at half time and all the red faces come up and everybody's complacent. That's what it seemed like to me. It was kind of like, game's done, guys. It's 5-0. Let's just get this done and then we'll go home.
I don't get that.
I don't get it either, man. Like you said, we did have chances. We hit the bar, I think, twice, but take that out it, as you said, to concede 2 in quick succession. They started a half better than us. They started quicker than us. And as I said, it looked kind of, we were like, game's done. Like, no, like, let's no bother. Do you know what I mean? Game's done. We'll just see it out in a way. And it's not the kind of mindset you need.
When you smell blood, you keep going for it.
100%. And Rankin did say that in his in the press after the game.
This is the thing that's really frustrating me about him recently. He seems to be saying all the right things in his press conferences and that, but the next game it's the exact same. Like it's whatever he's saying for the most part is what I'm feeling. There's a few things that I don't agree with, but he's saying all these things, but it then gets to the next game and nothing changes. It's still the same.
Do you think that's failure on his part to motivate the team to that level? If he's coming out and saying we need to be going for in that second half, we should have been going for blood, blah blah blah. Do you think is that him?
I think it's a mixture of a few things. I think it's a mixture of him not being able to motivate them, because we've saw in the sort of bigger games we've not really been that motivated. Under his tenure, but I don't know. Just from what I've been hearing and perceiving, I know they speak about how well they do in training, how sort of motivational he is, and how sort of energetic, etc. I don't think they work in any particular game related in training. From what I've heard and what I've seen, it doesn't seem they do anything orientated other than just basic football drills. Which I don't know if there's much truth in that. This could be just absolute nonsense that people are spouting, but it says inexperience to me. It says lack of motivation, and as I've spoke about several times, in this league we're expected to win the majority of our games, and we're always going to be expected to win the majority of the games, and I think that's how we've managed to get away with winning so much this season. It's not been through much change or doing of tactics or anything like that. I think it's just because we've got such a big squad and we've got probably one of the best squads and best 11s in the team, full-time team, so we should be winning any games.
Do you know what, I actually really agree with you. I really agree with what you've just said there in terms of I don't think we've necessarily been...
I don't think we've won games off our own merit.
No, I don't think... Well, I wouldn't agree with that, but I don't think we've been... I'm trying to think of the kind of word to describe it, but I don't think we have been better necessarily tactically than the teams we've beat.
We've not changed our game.
Exactly.
What I didn't mean by we've not won games in merit. That's
what you've just said.
Right
what you've just said there is right.
We've not changed things to win a game.
Because what was the stat you said? We've not won from a losing position or something like that.
Bar the Clyde game in the cup at the very start of the season, which I don't think you can work out. We've not won a game this season
that we've
went behind in.
That's worrying.
That is extremely worrying.
Yeah.
That says to me, and I don't think the stat as well as we've not. I think there's only one or two games that we've conceded to be then level that we've also then went and won them. So that is very worrying for me, and that's something that I don't think's been picked up on or spoke about much to the manager or by the board. It's not something that was really touched upon that much at the fans forum. I kind of brought it up slightly, and a few other people mentioned that stat, and it's kind of brushed aside upon. But to be going behind in a game, you need to know how to change it. You've got these players there, you've got a big enough squad, and the players with the quality that should be able to change a game from any position against the opposition we're against, and we've not done it at all this season, which is very worrying. I think there wasn't much of a reaction for I think, see if you're one of the players and you concede 2 quick concession goals from a team that's getting pumped absolutely every week and are getting annihilated by all opposition, that should give you a bit of fire in the belly. Something should get changed there. And you think, you know what, we've conceded 2 goals there. Let's go and get a couple more goals to make this result even more in our favour. But nothing was changed on Saturday, and I think, whatever day it was, sorry. And I think the only changes that they attempted to make was pretty embarrassing as well with the two young boys coming off.
2 young boys
minutes. I think that's a red neck.
Aye, that is, man. It's one of those ones where I laughed at the time, right? Because at the time I thought it was quite funny, right? And then I kind of went back going, these are two guys that are coming on for their debut. You know, they're getting brought on in the last kick of the game, really. Like, and you don't even get on the pitch. That's the thing, is the board went up and the referee blew the full time.
You can say, it was 90 minutes, but the game was, if their mentality at half time was the game's dead and buried, then why the fuck are you waiting to that time to actually bring them on? I think I don't think there's an underlying message behind it, but it's pretty shit regardless. And obviously that's probably something we'll touch on a bit further down the line of the podcast with regards to younger players, but I think it just sums up the attitude towards giving other people a chance, and those other than the perceived favourites.
Right, well, that's a good time. That's a good time to lead on to next, mate, because that's something that's been brought up a lot, both to us. People talked about it at our live show. It was brought up in the forum as well, the fans forum as well, about ranking having perceived favourites in the team, players that are getting dropped and not getting another chance. We could name them if we wanted, and players that are sticking in the team despite not performing very well, or as you said, getting a chance off the bench over other players that, I mean, let's be honest, I think we can all see are much better. I won't name him, but I've spoken about him a lot. That's something that we touched on. Like I said, people touched to us about ranking having these supposed favourites in the side, and it's something you spoke about a lot.
I say perceived, and I think it's clear to see.
Yeah.
There's no
allegedly.
It is, and I don't particularly understand it.
Nope.
Maybe it's just, I mean, I don't know if that's just how some managers are or whatever, but I think it's clear to see so many people that there's certain players that are better than others that are getting given the opportunity, and these people are getting given the opportunity time and time again despite failing to produce anything remotely of the level that we think other people could be given, and they're continuously given this chance. Obviously, Josh O'Brien was mentioned at the forum and mentioned, and he said he get given his chance and he didn't produce, which, if that's how you're looking at it, then fair enough, but look at all the other centre halves that haven't been particularly playing at a certain level, but they're continued to give their opportunity time and time again. So if you're saying the mentality that, or
picking a left back over him,
if you're picking players saying, oh, they've been given their opportunity and they've not produced, what about all the other players that have been continued to give them? They've not even given off. They've been continued to start. They've continued to play, and despite them not producing, you never see them dropped. You never see them sort of demoted to see if someone else can perform better. But yet, certain players get a brief cameo of a couple of minutes here or a couple of games sort of intermittently, and then they've not been seen for a few other games. Whereas there seems to be the set mainstays that always either come on as a sub or are starting every game despite their performances not being up to scratch.
Right. I was just on the O'Brien thing. I want to touch on that because I was arguing with who was arguing? I was arguing, I think it was Gavin maybe, or Rudy, about Josh O'Brien, where Alloa away that first half, right? He was bad.
Yeah, of
he
course
made
he was.
2 or 3. I can think off the top of my head 2 or 3 quite big mistakes. One of which was led to a 1-on-1 that thankfully Fulton at the time, Jamie Smith, thankfully they saved. But in my opinion, it wasn't that bad of a performance that he gets dropped out the squad entirely for Falkirk. It wasn't that bad.
Aye,
it
dropped
was
out the squad for a player that's not been in the team the full.
No, he would get dropped for Longridge.
No, but he did get dropped out the squad for,
oh right, sorry, yes,
for a player that hadn't been
no, I don't,
in the squad for a long period of time. And I think my point of view with that is, and I think O'Brien's gone, in my opinion, for how I
permanently, or Jinky's on loan.
Don't know, I think it'll be on loan because I think they'll see how this season pans out. Because I don't think he's that bad a player.
No, me neither.
Before then, when did you ever see John Rankin make a sub at half time? That was the first time that I'd seen him in a very, very long time that I can remember of. And that just sums up to me that there's clearly an underlying issue there with certain players and other players, because there's been other centre halves. Obviously, I really like Dylan McGowan, top guy, etc. But there's been so many mistakes he's had past games that you don't see him getting hooked off as soon as he's made the mistakes. So that it sums up to me. There's definitely favourites and there's definitely those that he doesn't think that he can rely on, even though the vast majority see them as being better option as the one that he uses.
What others do you think will be leaving? You said O'Brien there, permanently loan, we don't know, but we've been told at the fans forum there's 11 players up for loan. The majority of them will be youngsters, obviously.
Yeah.
But if we are supposedly bringing in the amount of players that we're bringing in, so I'm getting told it's at least 3 or 4, it means people are going to have to leave. So who for you do you think will be getting shipped out?
So obviously they've mentioned this 11 players in the loan list, and obviously we saw things with sort of directors posting, sort of sharing that he shared the available list to the sort of Scottish, the sort of PFA and all the sort of English, etc., stuff like that. So I think there definitely is players that are available to go out there. I don't think there's many that permanently will go unless there's an offer, which I doubt.
I think if there was an offer for an Accies player, we probably would have heard about it.
Because I heard about it, so I think they'll put them out on loan and they'll see where we're at the end of the season with regards to the manager, the position we're in, etc. Because it might be the case that certain board members might feel that some of the players still have a role to play at the club, which I think quite a lot of them do, because I'll go into why I think this window doesn't need to be that big, in my opinion, sort of as we continue. But I think the name that sort of was obviously mentioned in the Lanarkshire Live post was O'Brien and Zanata. I think Zanata makes sense to go out on loan. I think for the positions we're looking at, it makes sense for Zanata to be one of them. I think it was going to be between Zanata and Lewis Smith. I think Lewis Smith sort of started getting a chance and started kicking on at the right time.
Pick up his form 100%, mate.
I'm not for a second saying Zanata's a poor option to have. I think he's clearly got talent there. It's just he's not.
We've been saying that for about a year and a half now. We can see the talent Zanata has.
He's not showed it when he's been given his opportunity that much, to be honest with you, that merits sort of him being over Lewis Smith. So I think there'll definitely be a loan there for him. I think at the fans forum they made it clear that Joe Mbongo will be on that loan list. Whether he gets taken up, that's a different question. I think there's certain other players I think that merit a loan. I don't think they'll be. Mikey Hewitt, I think, could be deserved.
Really?
I'm not a fan personally, but I think because of lacking of centre mid positions and with John Rankin's clear favouritism of him,
That's interesting. I didn't expect Mikey Hewitt as an option. That's interesting. It's just
Stephen Hendry.
Okay.
I think could be put out for loan. I personally don't understand why Chris McGinn's not been given a chance.
No, I don't
whatsoever.
get that either.
I think it's absolutely insane. We've obviously spoken about this several times, that some of the games that we watch and the manner in which we play with the sort of the width, etc. He's such a better option to have, and there's clearly an issue there. There is an issue there the way ranking in McGinn.
Do you think he just doesn't rate him? I think he just...
He obviously doesn't rate him. I don't know what it is, but there's clearly an issue. I think you just need to look at some of the replies on social media, and a lot of people
I don't get
the same thing. I think it's insane why he doesn't get given a chance.
And I think you were spot on just to touch on about how well he would fit in with how we play with the width, because
100% would.
our two fullbacks are constantly going high and wide, and that's where he thrives, is picking the ball up and running with his pace. So, I mean, again, I pick up on...
And he can defend.
And he can defend, but I pick up on the Alloa game again. Stephen Hendry at left back. I said that in the video. Everything was sideways and backwards. That's the type of player Stephen is. He's a safe player. He's sideways and backwards. The game is dying out for somebody to take a run.
Take a run at players.
And that's what he
Chris
would do.
McGinn, and that's what, for the most part of most of our games, we should be getting.
Yeah.
We should be attacking teams. We should be on the front foot. And he sums up what an Accies team in this league should be doing. So, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him going out on loan, but Chris McGinn, sorry, but I think he should be getting a chance, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Joe McGlynn going out on loans, since we're apparently looking at two strikers, which I think is absolutely insane. I don't really think that we need to do much in this transfer window, personally. I think
well, that's something you spoke about to me off camera.
I don't think many other people think the same. Like, speaking to Latimer, speaking to a lot of other different fans, we spoke about this from the start of the season, and I don't know why our mentality's changed. That we've got one of, if not the best squad in the league. So I clip this fucking clip, Falkirk fans, all you fucking want.
I get clipped and taught me after the game.
I saw it, mate. They're absolute fucking weirdos. But anyway, we do have one of, if not the best squad in the league. We've got the biggest squad in the league.
I would agree with that.
We're a full-time team, and we've got players who are capable there of producing far much more than what they are.
Yeah.
I just don't think the manager is getting the most out of them. So that's why I don't think that our directors should be putting their hands in their pockets too much. Because if we're going to continue playing the way in which we're playing, then it won't make too much of a difference if we've got the players that we've got, or if we've got any other players. And the players that we're linked with thus far, I don't think thus far, what do I think am I?
What was it? You said outrageous on Twitter?
I
thought that was funny.
The players that we've been linked with in comparison to the players that we've got, I just don't think it'll make that huge a difference just because of the manner in which we play. I don't think we need to make too much changes. I think the changes we need to make at the moment is in our midfield, because of the hole that's Scott Martin's left.
Yeah.
But I just feel that we've got the largest squad, one of the best squads. It's not getting utilised, and we're not seeing the players play to the level that are expected of. We're not seeing players play at all that could be doing as a job that would probably be perceived as a new signing if they get given a chance. And that's why I just think this window won't be a waste of time. But if we're just signing players for the sake of signing them, I hope that they're going to have a better and desired effect. We've got good enough players in this squad that should be up there fighting for the title, and we are at the moment, but we're risking falling away from that just because of our recent performances.
So if you're in there with Serif, right, you became a member of the board, which you did at the fans forum before last, right? Are you then advising Serif, keep your money in your pocket, don't worry about spending big in January, keep it in your pocket, save it for the summer, and get rid of John Rankin, and use that money to back the next manager?
Yes.
Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, I think that's what every manager says. Listen, I think John Rankin is a really nice guy. Every time we've spoke to him, he speaks extremely well. He's clearly really intelligent when it comes to football. He's obviously a good coach, but he's not getting the best out of these players. He got us relegated last year. We should be winning games far more comfortably. We're drawing games that we shouldn't be drawing. We're out of all cups fairly early on. It's just not good enough for the resources that he's got at his own whatever the word is. The resources that he's got, it's not good enough. And I think that a different manager would get far much more out of the players that are available there. And I think if we did make that change, then I think we would have a chance for the title. But that's not going to happen. So the only other option therefore is to go and spend money and hope you can sign an absolute game changer.
Aye. Well, let's talk about the players that are coming in. One is pretty much confirmed. Let's just talk about it let's just talk about it as confirmed, because it is confirmed. It's Matty Cash, who was spotted training. Is Ben Williamson, midfielder, 22 years old, 21 years old. Permanent deal from Rangers, we're getting told, 18 months. I'm interested in your thoughts on it. I can admit he's not a player that when his name came up, I did have to give him a wee quick Google. Transfer market was loaded up very quickly. But listen, seems at fairly decent level. He got loaned out to Dundee when they won the league. He's been loaned out to Raith. He's been loaned out to Partick most recently. Didn't really get his chance at Partick Thistle. And now he's going back to Rangers. And I think he's basically been told, you've not got a future at Rangers. We'll let you go on a free and you can a team can pick you up, which we've done it. There'll be a development fee, I'm assuming, in some way for the Rangers Academy. But listen, I think it helps fill the hole in midfield that you touched on earlier on with Scott Martin being out. Speaking to fans of the teams he's been loaned out to, so I spoke to a Raith fan and a Partick fan. The Raith fan said that he predominantly played deeper in their midfield, but his best game was when actually against Accies, when he played further up at New Douglas Park. He said that was his best game he played for us. And the Thistle fan said he's very rarely played for us. I think he had 7 appearances in the first half of the season. He said everyone he kind of came in as a kind of central midfielder, a kind of Scott Martin type box-to-box midfielder is what he described him as. So I think on paper, he fits that hole. I think it'd be very hard for MD to fill Scott Martin's shoes in that midfield, especially with like his work rate. But I think that probably is a smart bit of business. A talented young player in midfield and a gap we need to fill. I do think that's smart business.
I think, although we're going about, obviously Scott Martin's a huge loss. Like,
massive.
That'd be a massive loss for anyone. I don't think it's a particular big hole to fill due to the players that we're playing against, personally.
Right, okay.
I think the midfielders that we've got are sufficient enough for who we're up against.
Yep.
But if we want to be at that different next level, and we want to bring in someone that's going to perhaps fill it to a better level than those that we've got, and to suit the standard in which Rankin plays, we do need to bring in someone that is more of that box-to-box mould, which if sort of, I don't know too much about Ben Williamson. I know who he is. I've saw him on the team sheets when we've played against teams. Yep. I can't really remember too much about him apart from that game against Raith. I remember him then. But going with the sort of description in which that fan's mentioned about, he sort of predominantly played sort of holding with them, but his best game was when he was further forward against us. I think, again, going on to the sort of standard that we're at in comparison to the different other teams in the leagues, he'll get away with being able to do that a lot easier, being in League One rather than the Championship. Yep. Obviously, he was with Dundee, he's been with Partick, barely played with Partick. He was with Raith, and he played fairly decent amount of games for those teams.
For Raith and Dundee,
in the Championship. So if
won it with Dundee.
He won it with Dundee, and if he can play as a holding midfielder and also play as a further forward midfielder, he'll get away with being able to do both in our games. So he should be able to sort of fit into that Scott Martin role. I need to wait to see him to be a judgment of it, but I think he was at Rangers as a youngster, still is at Rangers as we speak at the moment. So he's obviously got talent. So yeah, it's young signing. He's obviously got talent of Championship level because he's played with those teams. Let's see how he feels in League One, and hopefully he can sort of fill his potential that Rangers obviously saw him.
Aye. And so another player we're linked with, that by the way, I'm getting told is absolute crap, is Paper Talk, was Jermaine Houghton. Striker, Arbroath, 30 years old. Recently had a bust up with them. He was only on a 6-month deal with them, so he was again another free agent. 6 goals and 4 assists in 17 games, so a decent return for that kind of level of Championship where they are currently. But I'm getting told it's absolute crap. But I'm interested, is that the type of player you think we should be targeting this window? He is a striker. He does tend to play off the left, I believe, but a big physical presence. Is that the type of player we should be looking at if it's not him?
I think it's a better option than the one you provided anyway. But
mate, I know I will defend this, right? I will defend because I get cooked on Twitter for it, right? I get cooked on Twitter. Now, I suggested Kieran Offord, who St Mirren, who was on loan to Edinburgh City, right? And I agree, when you look at the stats on transfer market, it's what, 2 goals in 18 games or something like that, right? It's really not good reading.
Does that improve our team though? No. With the players that we've got, is that better? Is that really better than what we've got at our dispense right now? Remember, we've got Andy Winter still there.
Yep.
We've got Joe McGlynn.
Yep.
We've got Kevin O'Hara. We've got Lewis Smith. We've got Dario Zanata. We've got several attacking players in that team.
In my opinion, coming off the bench is a better option than Dario Zanata. And if Dario Zanata is getting loaned out.
But we don't want to just be signing players like that for the sake of it. If we're bringing MD in, we need to bring them in like they said at the fans forum, to go into that starting 11 to have an effect. A player like Kieran Offord, in my opinion, and like everybody else's that says you're on drugs' opinion, is that it's not going to have a positive effect. We're in a position where we're falling behind Falkirk in the league. The investment that the board need to be making right now is that's going to have an effect in a very positive manner to ensure that we're winning all of our games from now until the end of the season, effectively. So I don't see him as being that investment that's going to have that desired effect. Jermaine Hilton, going back to him, we're seeing how well, was it Raman Burrow?
Yeah, Fikova
is having. Similar type of players from what I've seen them both physical, both fast, both very direct. Look at the effect he's having. So they've got a striker that runs at players that is very fast, is powerful.
Tormented does as well.
Tormented
does
as well, and he's scored a lot of goals in this league. Jermaine Hilton, from what I've seen of him at Arbroath and what I've remembered him for Ross County, similar type of player, very direct, very fast, although he didn't really cut it in the Premier League. Speaking to a few sort of Murrow fans today, gave me a description of him that when he was first brought in, he was brought in as a certain position, and then Alexander saw him as a winger, but then Alexander didn't play wingers, so that's why he didn't work out with them. But he was very direct, very fast, and I think in League One, having a player of that sort of, no calibre, but
with those attributes,
attributes is going to have a positive effect. So I've been told as well that it's definitely absolutely rubbish. Lancashire Lives have confirmed that it's just Daily Record paper talk. They've been told themselves that it's definitely not happening. So in my opinion, that was a signing that would have had an effect, in my opinion, for a positive, because I feel having a striker that would run it, players very physical, and he's already scored a few goals for Arbroath, and Arbroath fans would really want to keep him, would definitely have a positive effect, and that's a type of investment I'd like to make. So we've been told that's not going to happen, so I'd be really keen to understand who the other player that they're going to bring in the forward position that's of a better level of Hilton.
Yeah.
It's no Gary Hooper as well.
Aye, let's talk about the Gary Hooper story, because that was mental, mate. What a mental time of night. What a mental little hour that was at night when you sent that into the group chat, man. If you've not seen it, I don't know how you've not, but an article went out where the director of football, one of the board members, had discussed that they had contacted Neil Lennon and Gary Hooper about potentially signing for Accies. Now, that is...
May as well get Marc-Antoine Fortuné while we're at it.
Mate, one of the most bizarre links I think I actually had a guy in my work today say, "Oh, you're the Accies fan, what about Gary Hooper?"
See, this is the thing that I'm thinking about it. Like, just because he's like a big name that's played at Celtic, you're thinking, oh, it's bizarre. He's playing at Barnet.
Aye.
So it's a type of level of signing you'd probably expect Accies to sort of be making. So
did Moyle come for Barnet, or did he go to Barnet after?
He went to Barnet. I think he's at them now. No, he's at Chorley now.
Chorley now is.
But he did go to Barnet. So it's a
type... How do we know that? We just obviously thought where David Moyle is.
Could do with him now.
Could do with him now, you're not wrong.
It's because of his name that I think it's extremely bizarre. It's also because of the links to Neil Lennon, etc.
But if you look at the actual player on paper, he's 35 years old. He's playing at Barnet. The recent photos of him, he's packing a bit of weight. Yes, he's got a clinical finish on him back in the day, but is he really going to change our fortunes signing somebody like Gary Hooper?
It's not a player I'd want to be putting a lot of money into at the age he's at.
No.
5 years ago, 100%.
Aye, mate. Aye, fucking try it, aye.
But no, I don't know if it's just sort of paper talk or if it's... But we're told that that's the sort of type of marquee signing
yeah.
what it makes. So, I don't know. I've got a feeling that the board might have something up their sleeve with regards to a biggish name. Whether that's a biggish name on paper or a biggish name that will appease the fans, i.e. like a former player or whatnot.
Aye.
I do think that they will try something there. Whether or not it'll happen is a different sort of story, but as I keep going back on with regards to signings, there's no point in putting your hand in the pocket to bring players in if they're not going to have a full-on effect to the starting 11, in my opinion, and they need to be a certain level, because in my opinion, we've got players that are more than capable in certain positions that aren't getting given the chance, and it'd just be a waste of money, in my opinion. Well,
just on that Marquee signing, we asked for questions from the listeners on our social media. If you've not, click the link in the description to follow us so you don't miss out on stuff like this. Scarlet Ribbon, who is We Are Accies on Twitter, has asked, just on that, who do you think the Marquee signing will be? Is there any names out there that you think right now that's, as you said, maybe an ex-player, maybe somebody who's had a successful career previously? Is there anybody that you think is a potential?
Well, as someone mentioned, it's very much going to be the Wesley Sneijder to Man U transfer rumour, where we're always linked with Connor Smith moving forward. So there's a name that, listen, I think he's doing well at Scunthorpe.
Very well,
so,
yeah.
I doubt that'll happen. But listen, if reading comments in Pine Ball, Vro, etc., Falkirk fans know how different it would be if we had him. So it's frustrating that we couldn't get him over the line. But if there's any chance of him, then I think that could be one of the marquee signings. I've heard someone mention Andy Ryan.
He get mentioned at the game, yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I think if that was an opportunity, I think the reason why he left was because of former board members.
Yep.
Willing to let him go.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Especially at that time. We spoke about it a lot at the time, aye.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll speak about that in our next podcast. But if there's any scope there whatsoever, if they've got enough money to be offering them more than what he's on at Larne, which I don't think it was that much more, listening to, unless he's got a new deal, just go and get him. Because the effect that have on the dressing room would be brilliant. Obviously, he's got a really good relationship with Daz. He's got a brilliant relationship with the fans. And you saw for his record since he's went to Larne how much goals he's scoring and how much goals he was scoring in a poor Accies side before we let him go. So,
and as you said, he gets it.
He gets it. He gets it.
He does get it.
No, I know he does, mate. I think that would be a brilliant signing, and he fits everything of the mould in which we need. And I just think that is a boost as a whole for the whole club, for the relationship with the fans and the sort of manager and stuff like that. I just think it would have such an amazing impact. And probably this is just an absolute pie in the sky rumour, and we're throwing something out there, but it would be huge if you got a player, or if you got Andy Ryan. So if there's any scope there whatsoever, which I highly doubt because their season's on until March, then go throw the book at them.
I think there is potential. I don't think it will happen. I think there is potential for Andy Ryan to come back, because he's got a really young family. He spent lots of time in Scotland.
Getting as excited here.
No, sorry. He spent so. But what I'm saying is, you see a lot of players doing this now. I'm going to compare this to quite a big example, right? But in principle, it's the same. Players who will go to, say, Saudi Arabia and China for like 2-3 years, make decent money, better money than they were on, and then return to Europe. Similar kind of thing where he's getting paid more than he would at Accies. He's playing the Champions League and all that. Go there, have that experience, make a wee bit of dosh, and then you've got a young family. You want to come back to Scotland and live in Scotland, and that's where he would be.
I'm sure with the investments that our club has been making, that if there was an opportunity of that, then I don't think it'd be out the question. So if you're listening, Seraph, go and get Andy Ryan. Any
other players that you can think we would linked to? Any other positions? We've talked about striker, we've talked about midfielder. Do you think we should be looking at another centre back? We're getting told that Fergus Owens is staying. Now, initially, obviously, he was on loan only till January to Kelty Hearts. The loan is technically up now. The last we heard was he's most likely going to stay at Kelty, but it's now at a point where Kelty haven't announced that, Accies haven't announced that. He's still training with Accies, I think, because they're obviously part-time. And I'm getting told that he is staying, so does he fill that gap for you at centre back that saves us having to bring another one in?
I think it'd be good to get Fergus back. Yep. I think he's a good player. Do you know what I mean? I don't particularly think that we desperately need another centre back. I think we've got suitable. Well, we've got Josh O'Brien there, he's clearly getting bombed out, but we've got enough players in that position that I don't see why they would put their hand in their pocket. In my opinion, I think it'd be a waste of money. You've got a player out on loan who
I agree
is more than sufficient enough to come back if they feel they need to get another centre half. If they do put their hand in their pocket, it's just so stupid. In my opinion, if they waste their
especially
money,
with like the Keane Newbury coming through and all that as well.
Jamie Hamilton potentially coming back. You've got obviously Longridge that can potentially play at centre back. You've got Fergus Owens on loan. You've also still got Josh O'Brien there as well. So I don't think the board are that stupid that they would put their hands in their pocket to get another centre back when they've got more than enough adequate players in that position. I noticed a couple of links with Reece Lyon. Is it? Kelty,
I'm not sure about that, mate. I've not seen that.
Centre mid. Kelty Hart's his new captain. He's played a few games against us and he's been particularly good.
Okay. Where were you seeing that link?
Pine Bowl.
Okay.
Apparently a few full-time teams have been sniffing there.
Only 23?
Only 23. Played with Morton prior to Kelty Hearts, I'm sure. So he has experienced full-time football, so it's probably the case that he probably wants to return to that, I'd imagine. Being so young, he's experienced it at a young age, he's then fell away from full-time football, so if he get given the opportunity of full-time football, I'm sure he would take it. He's their captain at a very young age. Kelty Hearts fans.
It's a good sign.
Kelty Hearts fans have been very sort of worried in case they do lose him because they've lost the captain before him, Tom Aware.
And we're also taking, obviously, by the looks at Fergus Owens away as well.
Aye, so I think he's
That'd be a good signing.
He's a centre mid, holding mid for what I believe. He scored a goal against us. I'm sure he was one of the goals. He wasn't one of the. He scored a goal against us in the cup game, I'm sure.
Right.
Might be talking nonsense here, but I'm sure he was one of the goal scorers in that game. So yeah, I don't particularly think we need to spend that much money in the midfield sort of department. I think we should probably look at bringing two in.
Yep.
Looks like Ben Williams is obviously one sorted. I wouldn't spend too much of your money on another one, but if you get a player like him, I don't think he's going to cost you that much money, and I think he'd be more than sufficient enough option for that for the squad.
No, I think it's a good name to throw at, mate. I do. So
might be absolute nonsense. It might just be someone in Pine Bovril saying that, but it would be good to get another midfielder in. I think the only two positions that we need is midfielders in a forward and a forward and winger. Two of either or.
Aye.
So either a forward and a winger, or just two forwards or two wingers, in my opinion.
Aye. No, well, I actually, like I said, I hadn't heard that name before. Lyon, I think that's a good. Again, I've looked at it transfer market for about 30 seconds, but I think on paper, young, with plenty of game experience and all that. He's captain. Aye. No, I think that's good, man.
And their fans are very much against him leaving, which if they were a bit meh about it, then obviously it'd be a different story. But I think if they bring in Ben Williamson, I don't think they need to really spend that much more money on another midfielder. I think the place where they need to make sure that they 100% get it right with their investment is a forward.
Yep. No, I would agree with that 100%.
I think they need to if they're going to be spending money this window, they need to spend it very wisely. And I think the position that they need to really improve on to give us a chance on going up is someone that's a game changer, someone that's going to get us goals. We create so much chances. Obviously, the board went on about that at the fans forum that we have the highest goals, highest chance creation within the whole of Scotland. But yet we never managed to take a lot of our chances, which is something that's been our biggest sort of complaint. So if they can go out there, spend that extra money on a proven goal scorer and someone that's going to change games for us, that'll give us a chance to win the league.
All right, well, let's wrap this up then by going over to the fan questions. As I touched on earlier on, we asked for these on social media. So on Twitter...
I don't know these, by
no,
the way,
you're not. So. Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Any questions we asked about the January transfer window, about the league, anything like that, and these are the questions that were sent in. So we'll start off with JP, John Patterson, who, by the way, messaged me to say, 2 buses are running to Stirling. This will be going out on Friday. So 2 buses will run into the game tomorrow. If they're not filled and you're going to the game and you're interested in getting the bus, please get in touch with John. We want to get those filled. John does a hell of a lot of work to get fans to away games. He's got 2 buses running. Let's make it worth his time, man, and fill the buses up.
On that note as well, I just want to say a massive thank you. 1, for all the thing John does for every fan, but 2, the bus to Edinburgh. We got on it, expecting to pay our dues, and he announced that it was a free bus.
Oh, amazing.
Free bus to Edinburgh, obviously throughout the Christmas period. Then also handed us out a wee goodie bag, which had
nice.
some chocolates. We had a wee alcoholic chocolate, which made one of the fans hit a badging.
Oh, no.
Drambuie.
Okay. Do you want to name the fan?
No.
Was it you?
No, someone name.
All right, okay.
Okay. But...
So shout out John, that's a nice touch, man.
In all seriousness, the fact that he obviously puts up with all us absolute bangers throughout the season, to make sure that we all get to the games to be able to support the club. Obviously it has the race night, which was a great success this year. Last year, sorry. And yeah, he put on Edinburgh and made it free of charge, which was brilliant. So can't thank him enough for everything in general. But as you mentioned, Stirling Saturday, 1 bus was full. He's then obviously had certain people that missed out, and he doesn't like seeing that, so he's attempted to get the second bus, knowing that he probably wouldn't fill another second bus. So it's coming out of the organisation's sort of funds as well. So if you can, and if you want to get along to that game, please get in touch with John and get your seat on the bus to Stirling to hopefully see New Year, New Accies.
New Year, New Accies, mate. That's a good title for the podcast.
Yes.
New Year, New Accies. So John Patterson is stuck in. Do you think that one of the most important signings in January would be to bring in some experience into the coaching staff to pass on knowledge to the current management team? Now, I think that stems from there was a rumour going around that we are looking to add to the coaching team. Now, obviously, reading into that, that's not a manager replacement, but perhaps somebody to go alongside Daz, an experienced member of the coach side to help. So you touched earlier on about wait until the summer, save your money, Serif Zengen. What do you think of that, about bringing an experienced coach in January to help?
I think it's where we've lacked for a while. Banking, brilliant coach, obviously Dazzler. Sell, obviously an old Accies hero, legend. Old Accies, he is an Accies legend. But both very inexperienced when it comes to professional football and sort of the management game, etc. So they've never really had anyone that's been that person on their shoulder to maybe calm down a bit, maybe to give them that bit of experienced head. Could go some of that. No, you know what I mean, like that.
Right, okay. quickly now.
Aye, so to bring someone in that's got a bit of experience behind them would definitely help everything as a whole. I think someone that's more tactical savvy, someone that's been in the game a while, and someone that will be able to provide new ideas and support the two of them to both showcase the players that are with us as well, but also help improve them as manager, assistant manager and stuff like that, because they're so new to that sort of role. They've never had someone to give them that guidance. So if that's something that the club are thinking about, I think great, definitely do it, because I don't think they're going to get rid of them, get rid of the sort of management team. So if there's a way in which we can sort of support them to help improve them, to give them more ideas, that is an experienced person to support them.
No, we spoke about it a little bit previously, but Dougie Emery's got it right at Morton.
Yeah,
the way he's going, his assistant who's very experienced in the game, just to give him that helping hand along. So no, I completely agree with you.
I think that's something I've heard that potentially might be happening. So if that does happen, I think they need to do it sooner rather than later. But that would be a welcome addition, would be someone experienced to support those within the dugout. And I think it would, again, give us that additional support to go in and carry on our title fight.
Well, we had two questions that were fairly similar, so I'll ask these together. So this is from Callum over on Instagram and Alan on Twitter, who said, what do you think, or Alan has said, sorry, what do you think our chances of currently are of winning the league? But then Callum has added in his own things saying, are you both similar to me now in thinking that the league is done?
No.
You don't think the league is done?
It's not done.
Okay.
It's definitely not done.
Elaborate.
Well, folk have got experience and are well renowned for being bottle jobs. Fucking clip that. But they are. Like, I saw something on Pine Ball the other day, they were complaining about sort of former management, etc., when they were going through a bit of a shite time throughout the COVID years where they were sort of romping the league, they were undefeated. Then they got their first defeat and went on an absolute horrendous run, and I think they were 7 points clear of the league at that point of Thistle, and they ended up bottling it then. They've obviously had experience the past few seasons. They've been in League One for a very long time. They tend to forget that since they're so massive. But the league's by no means over. We've still to play them twice. There's a long way to go.
Yep.
We've shown for the most part of this season that we're far better than the majority of the league. Don't get me wrong, Falkirk are better than us now. They are. Yep. Nobody's saying that they're not. That they clearly are. They're undefeated all season. They've won the majority of their games. They played us off the park at our own ground. So nobody is by all means saying Falkirk aren't better than us at this present moment. But we've got a full-time squad there. We're not too far away from them. There's a long way to go. So if we make the right investments in January, we bring in someone experienced to support the people in the dugout, and we bring in players, because they've obviously brought in 2 players so far, and I don't think they've got much money, so I don't think we'll see much change from them.
No, there's a lot of news reports coming out saying that they can't strengthen in January, or if they do, exactly. they're going to have to sell players.
So I think there's obviously rumours that they might be losing Callum Morrison, etc. So I don't think this league is by all means a finished article. I know we've obviously went through a bit of a slump and been on that sort of trajectory that we were so used to winning every week, then to go through a period where we've sort of won in sort of 5, it's very deflating, and it makes us, a lot of us, especially how negative Accies fans can be, think that sort of things are over and the performances haven't been particularly great. But bit of a tangent there, but no, I don't think the league's over.
All right. I don't think it's over either. Obviously a lot less optimistic about our chances now, but again,
listen, by all means, I don't think that we're going to win it, but I certainly don't think it's out of the question.
Okay. Just as a follow-on to the question, Alan has said, if we don't win the league but are in the playoffs, do you fancy us to beat second bottom in the championship? So we get to the end of the season, we're playoffs. You don't know who that obviously is right now. But
for a period, but they just went in a fucking unbelievable
they're up to 5th or something like that. It's mental, man.
It's a very close championship. So, listen, we saw the difference last season of the level of the championship in comparison to League One. Airdrie, who we played, we beat over 2 legs. We obviously lost with a last minute equaliser and then losing out in penalties.
Yep.
They were pumping teams every single week. They were high scorers in Scotland. They were absolutely, how they didn't win that league, I don't know. Dunfermline obviously just went that bit extra, but Airdrie, everyone was speaking about them, how good they were, how well they were free flowing scoring.
Queen of the South as well in the cup.
We came up against them and they didn't look anything special. We were obviously fearful. We speak about how our squad this year is so much better than it was last season, but that squad over 2 legs technically won against the high flying championship side. So to answer the question, do I think we'll win over 2 legs? Do I think we'd win a playoff? No, because I haven't seen much from our manager that shows that he can get players up for all the big games. Obviously, cup final that exception, but it just really depends what we do in January. I think if we bring in some real talent that I think hopefully the club will invest in because they see that there's a need for it, then great. It'll give us a chance for both the league and either the playoff. But I think that is off the basis that we bring in an experienced head for the dugout and bring in a sort of game-changing signing, because the way we're at the moment, and if we continued the way we are right now, no, we would never win a playoff.
Okay. Frank has asked, where is our next youth development coming from? So I'm assuming he's meaning there, who is the next player from the academy you think is going to break into that first team? There is a few names to pick from. Obviously, you've got Lewis Latona, Ben Black, Kalala as well. who was nearly coming off the bench. So
Again.
Obviously, McGinn. Who do you think is that next player who will be coming in and breaking in?
I think there's a few players there that are more than deserving of being in that squad or getting a chance. As we went on about, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, there's been players that have constantly been given chances that haven't been up to the standard whatsoever, and you've got other players of the youth that are far that can fill that void if they had been given the chance and have not been. So until they get given that chance, we won't know. But there's a lot of players in the sort of 18s and stuff like that I'm sure will be this sort of similar situation where we'll get money for them as well. It's just been a complete change of sort of mentality of old board to new board, where obviously we took a lot of the money for the youth that were coming through.
Yep.
We made the investment in a squad that we felt was more than capable of winning the league on their own without having to rely as such on youth. I don't think it's relying on youth. I think it's giving them a chance where they're capable of having it. You heard at the fans forum, Jerry said about Ben Black.
He's just not been ready.
That he's the best finisher within the league. He just doesn't think he's technically ready. But you think you're Joe Mongo's ready. Just crazy. So I think there's plenty of youth there. We're still running a very good youth academy, and hopefully we continue to do so forevermore. But I just don't see them getting a chance anytime soon, which I think is very frustrating and unfair.
Yeah. If I was to pick a player, if I was to name a player, it probably would be Ben Black. I've obviously seen a lot less of him than other people, but I think if you are a kind of young, athletic goal scorer and you get your chance, as long as you can take it, then I think it's easier to build up on than like a Lewis Latona coming into midfield.
Look at the amount of chances we create. So if you give a young boy his first chance in that team when you're creating those much chances, as you just said there, that's so easy to integrate into the team because he's going to get the chances. The boy knows how to put the ball in the net. Just give him a fucking chance.
There you go. And we'll wrap this up from a question from Tati, who has said it's Accies' 150th anniversary. What would you like to see the club do this year other than win the league?
We've
talked about it a lot.
Friendly against Besiktas.
In Turkey, a wee trip to Turkey.
No, listen, I think it's obviously coming up to our 150th year, but it is 150th year, so I think there's so much that the club should be doing. It's a sort of momentous occasion as a whole. I think from a commercial point of view, I think there's a lot of sort of merchandise. I think there's a lot of sort of commercial things, whether that be sort of tops, whether it be commemorative sort of books, sort of pictures, whatever. There's so much commercially that's not my sort of forte, but there is things that they could and should be doing. They just need to look at other clubs that have been in a similar position sort of over past recent years and see what they've done and do that. I think they should be running events sort of to try and increase the local community that gives so much to the club. And hopefully if they do those events integrated with the community, that might sort of trigger them for next season as well. I think friendlies.
Massive.
I think friendlies are massive. I do believe that's one thing that this board will have different to the previous boards. Obviously, we've been crying out for sort of friendlies of decent calibre, decent level for so long. I know they've obviously fairly recent years they've played the sort of junior teams, which I get, which I have no sort of problem with them doing that. I just feel that we need a bit more glamour.
Yes.
Away ties. You saw how well supported we were at Coleraine. That was a lifetime experience for myself and so many others. Like I never thought I'd see Accies playing away and playing abroad in my life. So see if they could do some form of abroad friendly that the fans could go to. I think that'd be brilliant. If they could do a friendly down south, the Norwich one that we're waiting on. But there's so much they could be doing for this 150th anniversary. I think they should be doing events to sort of get the community and the fans involved within. Then that works so well because you're giving the fans things which they want to see, but you're also integrating the community, which will hopefully then bring them on board for the next season. As I say, there's a lot of commercial ideas with regards to merchandise and stuff like that. And then friendlies. Those are the sort of three separate things that I think they should bring on board, and I think they will to a degree.
Yeah, I would like to think they would really, because again, they've been talking about it for a long time. Again, something that is basically being confirmed that we spoke about for years is obviously the kit, the green and blue hooped kit. Aggies fan has been dying for it. Apparently that is happening. That is something they've been talking about.
They need to make sure they get that right.
They need to make sure they get that right, because, and again, I said this to...
That could be a commemorative kit, but the away kit.
Yeah.
And see if they get it right, they get it manufactured right, they get it to a certain level of standard. That could be a really good seller. Well, every Accies fan would buy it. Yeah,
well, I said to the board, I said to their faces when our kits came out this season, I went, I love the designs, but I don't think the quality's not good enough.
I think they were rushed.
And they were 100% rushed. But
I don't think that's really fault of the board.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
It was just... Yeah, they've got all... I think they've got... See, with regards to merchandise, etc., they definitely have the right ideas.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I said to them, the quality isn't great, but it's quite clear that they're on the right path. They've got the design right.
And I think that there's definitely scope. And if they get that kit right, it would be a good seller, both with regards to current fans, but I know I've spoke to former board members with regards to sort of Greaves and stuff like that. You see Falkirk and Greaves, you see Partick Thistle. See if you get a kit that stands out. Look at Rafe with the sort of kit that they've brought out for their commemorative memory with some Spanish team. They're going
the yellow and blue one,
sold out in a day with both Rafe fans and fans from all over the world. As the board members have spoke about with regards to different Hamiltons about the whole world. See if you get a green and blue kit that's completely different to everything else that MD is seen in a long time. You'll get people buying it, but they also need to get their website sorted so people can buy online as well.
All right, that's a good way to wrap up. Guys, thank you very much for listening as always. Really appreciate it. Links in the description to follow us on our social media. Like, comment, share, subscribe to us on YouTube. And Brandon, still an Albion away, mate. Quickly before we go, score prediction.
Two minds about this one, you know.
Okay.
Because they've just came off a pumping for Falkirk. We pumped them 5-0 as well, but the game's on telly as well. I think this is a really good opportunity to silence all us money bastards about that Edinburgh performance. We went there, we won 5-2. Yes, we came away with a victory, but the second half performance wasn't good enough, and the performances as of recent haven't been good enough. Go there on telly, make a case, go and absolutely pump them. They've shown that they're capable of doing it. Still are capable of taking a pumping. Not many people are, but go out there.
I could do one of them.
An experienced head will get us a pumping. No, listen, I say 3-0 Accies.
4-0 Accies. Totally agree with you.
Game now finishes 2 each.
Guys, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again soon.